Hey guys, waiting for people to come on to have a conversation. A conversation about um, your perspective dealing with your family. You know, have you thought or even entertained your children's feelings about sexuality? Do you understand what they think and understand sexuality to be from their peers? They're introduced to so many different things, and things are different these in this time. So, like, what does that look like, and how do you handle it with your kids? How do you handle it with your mate? How do you handle it with your family? Some things we love our children, and we don't want to make them feel uncomfortable or, even um, inferior. So, that's a question that must be asked and answered, um, because so many times we overlook the children and their feelings when it comes to this, because it could be an embarrassment to the family, you know, um, because what they want, need, desire might not be what you want, need, and desire for them. I learned this the hard way. You know, when your parents have a desire for you to be one thing and your mind is telling you to do something different, it's a very important conversation. You know, what do you do in that aspect of life? How do you respond to a child that's crying out for help, but you don't even understand why they think the way that they are thinking, because you're not that way. You have no understanding, and there's not many people that can help. People always say you can go to counseling for some things, but when the parent really doesn't understand the issue, they see it, they know it brings embarrassment to the family, to their home. They're not too keen on the situation, and we love our children as they are. um, how do you embrace them in spite of what they're going through, um, and how do you deal with it as a parent? How do you deal with it as a mate? This is something people commit suicide over. you know I want to go into the new year helping provide and bring clarity and understanding to some real tough issues, because losing kids, putting them out, um, and really uh, treat, treating them a certain way because we don't agree is not necessarily the way that maybe it should be handled. And I bring this topic up, having had a few friends come to me and their children have faced some very trying things, and I am, a young man that has experienced some things myself, um, from different aspects. I've been married. I've been, you know, in two different kind of relationships, marriages. And I really think that the topic is very, very important. I am taking questions. I am bringing other people on. My partner probably will join me, um, to help people get understanding, because this walk has been so definitely different. When I was growing up, just to show, it was very, very not popular. It was very unpopular to embrace gay lifestyles. It was not anything that you could be public with. In on one hand, you did have people that were, but it was something that was hidden at most times. My mother paid a lot of attention to me, being a little bit more sheltered than most. She asked me, like literally, so I will never forget it, standing at the stove, and said, do you have um, a desire? And she, from the teaching counseling kind of world, tried to deal with it that way. I'm going to bring Darius on now. Hey, Darius.
Hello.
It's good to see you.
Nice to see you too.
Thanks for joining me. Trying to give some people a perspective of what life is like when your parents or family don't necessarily understand why you do what you do, or what would cause you to think the way you think. Then the other conversation that I was actually trying to um, bring about would be when your child acts different and you don't know how to deal with it within yourself. I haven't dealt with that, but I have dealt with the issue being I was heterosexual with my wife, had a child, and then got divorced.
Hmm.
When I was when my wife was actually pregnant, the question that I had for myself, and it would be really good one day. I'll probably bring her on, because we're very good friends. So you know, there's a myth of secrecy. Well, before I got married, I wasn't secretive. I said to my wife, I like both, but I'm really into you. Can we date and this, that, and the other? And we got married. So now, when I had a child, I was praying to God for a little girl because I didn't know, with me not being the football watcher, game player, sports guy, how did I navigate that with the son? Which my parents were very intricate in helping me with that. And my son turned out to be an amazing young man, not with those issues. So, but I was fearful as a parent as to, would my desire not only not influence my child because I wouldn't do things in front of him, but have an effect on my child adversely, to the point that I indirectly hurt him, and that's a really serious question. Um, Darius, I don't know what well, I kind of understand it, but do you feel like saying how did your family come to know your desire might have been different?
Um, a lot of it they already kind of knew, um, in a way. And I personally, when I look at certain people, you can kind of gauge certain things. Not so much to say that my opinion or what I'm saying is correct, but a lot of times it's little things that especially with children that you pick up on. Not so much to say that I'm saying that hey, that's what they're destined to be, but um, a lot of times you can pick up on a lot of stuff.
Right. I mean, I would think so. I mean, as a child, when I was growing up, my cousins always teased me a little bit. I was very skinny and small. My mother always kept me near her. Um, Quite contrary to, being able to run and play in the streets and do what I wanted to do, she didn't have that. So
Mhm.
that also set me apart from family and friends that I wanted to be around. And it kind of made me, I didn't feel that I was better,
Mhm.
but they looked at me differently. Do you understand? Like, they
Yeah.
didn't look at me the same. And that affected me as a child with my securities. You become insecure about certain things when you're sheltered to that level. And it affected my confidence.
Hmm.
And I think that has affected my life
Most.
along the way, like in my relationships and dealing with
Mhm.
people, friends, places, going places. I believe this is a very serious issue because one thing that your parent tries to do to to keep you from hurt, harm, or danger,
Mm-hmm.
and it exposes you to it.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing: when they keep you so sheltered, it almost promotes you to jump out of the box to explore because you've been so
Yeah, because you go into it blindfolded
right.
because you've been given each path, each step. You've been given like the answers to it. So now when you have to actually go out on your own and be and do life, it becomes like you're going into it blindfolded. Like you're literally going, and that's like me putting a 12-year old child behind the wheel of a car and telling them to drive.
Right.
They're gonna look at the wheel and say, "What am I supposed to do?" They're not gonna know, and
They
that's
want to
exactly how
drive.
it is.
They want to drive though, but
Yeah,
understanding of
yeah,
how do you drive?
most definitely, most
What
definitely.
way do you not go to
Mm-hmm.
prevent an accident? That was a great analogy. Like that is so serious because um but then what happens to your ultra male, alpha male father that finds out his son is he's a little different than the other guys. He don't want to go outside and play football. He don't want to go to the games. He's a little bit more into the books, so something might be different for him. How does that father respond?
I mean, I look at that like this. Um, I'm not gonna say this most times it happens, but let's say that the child wasn't expected. You had to get into gear and maneuver and make sure that this baby was set and make sure the baby had clothes and all of that. So just because the child now says, "Hey, I want to be gay," or "I'm gay," and they're actually becoming and actually wanting to let you know this is who I am. You can't shelter and not allow a child to be themselves. You have to allow them to be themselves.
Yeah, I mean, some people, try to mold their children into what they want them to be, and
Mm-hmm.
I definitely am for guiding your child,
Mm-hmm.
but making decisions for their life down to religion might not be the best thing. You need to lead them in the way they should go, but I don't believe you should put them where they you want them to go because then they're leading a life unto what your desires are, not their own.
Mm-hmm.
And I was blessed to have a father that, in spite of him not agreeing with lifestyle, like
Mm-hmm.
I battled. Like I had a girlfriend, then I had a boyfriend. I snuck the boyfriend. I didn't have that publicly, but I had my girlfriend publicly with my parents. Then I was back and forth because I knew my parents wanted something different for me. So
Mm-hmm.
I tried as a child, young man, teenager to please them,
Mm-hmm.
and when I learned that
You
I
can't.
wasn't necessarily happy,
Mm-hmm.
um, and
In that process, I'm sorry to cut you off, but in that process, that was a really good like learning curve for you. Like
absolutely.
it was a very big learning curve for you.
Yeah, like I didn't admit to my mom the first time that, and I'm only putting my story in the situation at the moment because we have many people that we could talk to,
Mm-hmm.
that we might be bringing on from time to time. But it is very important that the people that struggle with stuff, you really don't know the next person that's going to commit suicide. That see is a bigger picture. There's a core issue because they were rejected, not because of necessarily sexuality, but rejection at its best.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing that I want to bring up because, like I said, I use my story because I was blessed to have a father that was like, I don't like it, boy. Don't bring them niggas around here, don't boys around here, or whatever you want to say at his worst time that he was upset, he loved me for me,
Mm-hmm.
didn't want nothing to happen to me wrong,
Mm-hmm.
but that in spite of that I love you. Just know I love you.
I think a lot of it is just an emotional thing, emotion and pride. That's a lot of it.
For the
It's,
parent,
yeah. Now, see, mothers are a little bit more accepting to
some,
the fact. Some, I'm not going to say all, but
some,
some are more accepting because a mother's intuition is always there. It's only the mothers that don't want to face reality that honestly try to get mad or upset that their child is the way that they are. You honestly cannot change how that child's going to be. It doesn't matter whether he does it in front of you. It doesn't matter whether he does it not in front of you.
but I do think you should respect your parents because I have multiple. Let me just say this. I'm just gonna go here right there. I told some of my friends or people that I was associated with that I see something in their child at times. I would say it jokingly, but I'm like, oh, you better watch them or something, and it be on it. But they didn't see it at all. 10 years later, they come and they say, "Oh my God, I hated you for saying that." But you saw it or saw something. And I say sometimes you can recognize that's that which is in someone else that is in you. I didn't wake up one morning. Let me give a clear understanding of something. I did not wake up one morning and say, "Ooh, I like boys." Absolutely not. That did not happen for me. Did that happen for you?
No.
Oh, I do know.
It was an intuition. It was like certain things.
Uh,
It's just like I knew. Like
when I was little, I knew,
that's something that you really just cannot change.
but
Like
I suppressed it.
I mean, but I can't. But you can't speak for everybody because everybody's situation is different.
Right. Some people were right.
Everybody's situation is different, so it could be that I could be one of the ones that knew. Hey, look, I knew from the get go. I knew what I wanted. Other people have went through certain things that now it's like they think they. I'm not gonna say they think, but they have. That's just what they have grown to like, grown to know, grown to be like.
How were they introduced to it? That would be a question that I would have for you because
And that's the thing. It's not. It could be a good situation. It could be a bad situation. Well, the good situation is, but see, that leads it back. The good situation leads it back to you knowing what you want, because it's like right now. Let's talk about the times that we're in right now. We have 7-year-olds that have come out to their parents and let them know, like, look, this is what I want to be. I want to be a girl.
right.
So, and this is really kind of deep because it's always been something that I've kind of had on my mind.
Right.
When, so like with a person who has been violated, a child that has been violated, sometimes, certain times, and this is just a feeling that I don't feel like it was necessarily a one-way street thing.
Right.
It takes two.
Not
Like,
all the time.
yeah. But sometimes it could be that time where you don't want to do it, where they don't want to do it, and the other party wants to. See, it's like and that's where the mental aspect comes in, because that person's already mentally messed up because they want something that they're not really supposed to have.
Let me say something. Like pause, put a pin right there.
Mm-hmm.
Understand this. When I had the desires, I didn't respond to them. But this is what bothered me and made me want to go crazy as I grew up.
Mm-hmm.
The person or people that introduced sexual things to me
Mm-hmm.
are now married and still married. The people that had violated my space
Mm-hmm.
are not outwardly that way. And they claim to be so hard and not, deal
Yeah.
with her private life. So, and then, but I took all the heat. And
Mm-hmm.
I was the one, and
Mm-hmm.
I never was the one who introduced myself to this
Yeah.
in a physical. Now, I might have sent out a message in my behavior that people felt maybe he is this way. But even though I had those, what is it, characteristics,
Mm-hmm.
I was very sure about pleasing my parents.
Mm-hmm.
I did not want them to look at me bad. I loved my
Yeah.
parents. Like, I did not want to be judged. I didn't want to be criticized. Do you know how it feels? Who wants to pick something that everybody talks negative about? And then they call you faggot names and homosexuals and all the things. I wanted a girlfriend like all the other boys did. I just wanted one, but not for the same reason. And it was very uncomfortable being in middle school, having desires to suppress them, and then like that. I don't like that, but I like the girls, and I would get all the pretty girls. This is the crazy part. I had more in common with them. I would get them, never violate them. Even going into high school, the boys would manipulate their way to become the men that they needed to be. In spite of trying to play with me privately for an experience or what do you call it when you experimental,
Mm-hmm.
and they always brought it to me. What happens is it kills your self-esteem as a young man to have people always come on to you of both ways.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but you're the one that's put in the spotlight as if you're the weirdo, and that is why people commit suicide. That is why people go crazy and run
And
away.
I'm sorry to cut you off, but
One reason.
that yeah, but that your story is so different from mine because mine was I I wanted what I wanted. I was scared to let my grandmother know because just like how you said, you just didn't you don't want anybody to
Not in
not
embrace.
to love you, not to even care about you anymore. So I hid it from everything, but I knew what I wanted, but I never could get what I wanted. So it was like
You ever
I
feel
had
alone?
it, huh?
You ever feel alone?
Yeah, like, especially in that time, I felt very much so alone because it's like, who do you really talk to? Like, who can I really express this to? So then that's when I mean, yeah, I had a best friend that I could open up to, and once I started becoming more accepting because I understood that she was accepting, and then who she was around, they were accepting, and not only were they accepting, but some of them were like how I was. They were getting just like how I am. So it's like you become a little bit more comfortable. You become a little bit more confident in what you are and what you want. So the time when you do actually say, "Look, I'm gay," it you have to mentally be there.
Mhm.
That's something that you can't be forced into because even if you are forced into it, it can be such a traumatizing thing for you.
Mhm.
It
Yeah.
can
Let
be
me. Let
so
me.
traumatizing.
Yeah. So as I went into from middle school, I went to high school. I was in a private middle school.
Hmm.
My parents wanted the best for me at all times. They
Hmm.
sent me to St. Joe, which is an all boys school, trying to get me the better education, not think about the boy aspect of it.
Hmm.
And my dad really felt it was important for me to become one with regular people. I had a false identity of what I should be or how things should go in my life. Like I thought I was because when you go to high school, you come up with things like I felt people. I thought I was better than people in a sense, but I did not. But I would come up, I would portray that in my upbringing, my environment, how they gave me whatever they did. I thought everyone lived like that. Everyone got what you want in spite of whatever your parents sacrificed. I
Mhm.
didn't know their sacrifice. When my parents broke up, we didn't know before they were breaking up that they were breaking up. Like, so I had to really embrace um being culture shocked. My father took me from St. Joe and put
Mhm.
me in Dunbar. And it was the best thing he could have ever done for me. I was very upset with my parents when I left St. Joe at first because I didn't understand. But they said I needed culture,
Mhm.
whatever that was to mean. I needed some culture. So when I met my friends at Dunbar, they embraced me with love like never before. My high school experience was absolutely the best thing for my
Mhm.
self esteem. I
Mhm.
became who I was on my terms.
Mhm.
I embraced those who loved me, and they protected me from those who didn't.
Mhm.
Thank you, Tanika. I definitely appreciate that. You were my friend in school, and I'm not gonna get emotional, but it was a battle, y'all, with high school. You wanna go to the basketball game with everybody, but you don't want to be teased because you're not playing. You know, or they say, well, you should have did the cheerleading, and it built me, but it still affected me. You know what I mean? Because when all the homeboys hang out, I wasn't given that opportunity to hang with them. But when the girls wanted to hang out, they were like, Pete, and those things were became my norm.
Mhm.
But my norm made me very popular with the men by my junior year,
Mhm.
because I had all the girls, and they didn't even know for whatever reason, good, bad, or indifferent. They just were all my friends, and now, like my high school friends were my absolute saviors to me as a person. Because I don't believe if I didn't go to Dunbar, would I have create had that balance created for me.
I agree with that.
You
And
know,
when I first started high school, I went to Rinky High School, and that thing got shut down. So I had to go to Digital Harbor, and going from one school that was really like a really like hood school where you really don't learn anything, but you pass. Like literally, you don't learn anything, but you're passing. And me being like really not myself, really kind of being sheltered, still trying to portray myself to be this hard person because that's the type of school I had to go to.
right?
So once I went to digital, it was like I'm here. Like everybody was, like you said, everybody was so open and so welcoming, and it was just like that. Like you said, that was a very big developmental milestone in my life. Once you, but what I mean that goes with any person. I'm not gonna say any person, but anybody in high school. It's like once you graduate, you get this big boost of confidence
Mhm.
to really like, because at this point you know that you're about to step into a whole different aspect of life. Like you're really about to step into something that's like you're about to really be an adult. So it's like you don't ever want to walk into it scared. You want to walk into it really like head first, like you're ready.
Mhm.
So I think that's when I really had the confidence to really come out. Was just like, I had just I had just graduated. I probably graduated for probably like 6 months. I just came out and told my grandmother. It was really hard for me. Like that day was really, really hard for me. Really hard because You just don't know. You honestly do not know.
How their response.
Yes, because you're like, there's something I need to tell you. What is it? I am. I'm gay.
Mm-hmm.
And that big, like, pause.
Mm-hmm.
The pause really isn't as big or as long as you think it is,
Mm-hmm.
but that pause is so long, and so many thoughts and so many different things go through your head that you're like, oh my gosh. But to hear your parents say, it's okay, I love you,
Mm-hmm.
in spite of whatever you like.
Mm-hmm.
What you like is what you like. I
Everybody doesn't have that story, Darius.
and
Like,
I know that, and that's the reason why I can relate to the pain of people that haven't had that, because when you don't have it, like I had the part of what if, and I'm a very emotional person. I don't just take it to the what if. I take it to actually internalizing it. Like, actually, it's happening. Like, I kind of like push myself and put myself in a box. Like, at that time, I had myself in a box where I really was just doing what I wanted to do. Like, I had just graduated high school. Like I said, I had this big
the
boost.
rebellious period.
Yeah, like, I had this big boost of confidence. So it was just like, yeah, I'm here, but I'm not really here.
So let
So,
me say something right in there. I had a why me for a moment,
mm-hmm,
for a long moment.
mm-hmm,
When my mother asked me, I actually did like boys, but I couldn't tell her that.
mm-hmm,
And I was scared of what she was going to do by telling my father. I had both of my parents. So I wasn't raised one parent and then didn't have the other parent when by the time I understood who I was. I had both of my parents there. So it wasn't my father wasn't missing. I didn't get raised by one parent. I didn't have that story.
mm-hmm,
My story was both of my parents loved me unconditionally.
mm-hmm,
And in spite of them loving me unconditionally, I feel like I was the trailblazer for people that was gay in my family. Even though I had one uncle that it was never talked about, I didn't even know what it was because that's how sheltered we were. It didn't even
mm-hmm,
that wasn't even a clue. Like it wasn't even a nothing. So one thing I did when I was realizing, y'all, this is some very deep stuff. But I want to help somebody because I have come in contact with some hurting people and they have no outlet. They don't even feel comfortable talking to anyone. And I want them to understand because I'm going to start my foundation and we'll talk about it another time. This is not the venue for that, but the bottom line is someone to have a space, a safe place outside of a counselor with real people that have real experiences to be able to walk you through some, navigate you through some things. Um, it is truly unbelievably hard when you ask God why. Your
mm-hmm,
parents ask you, "Are you gay?" and then you say no. I'm like, "Ew, no, ew." Knowing deep down in your heart, you just lied to your parent,
mm-hmm.
and then they're catching on to things. Your mother's going through your stuff indirectly, cleaning up your room, helping you do stuff, and figuring out this boy is something's different about him. Just something is different. I can't put my finger on it. Then my friends, were all becoming. I had some really strong male friends, but that didn't come up in our. Well, not that it didn't come up, but it wasn't a navigating factor to sexuality.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but here's the one thing I want to say. When my mother finally asked me, and I said, yes. I bust out crying. She was at the stove again. I guess that was her safe space. And she said, well, we have to tell your father. I said, oh no, my father was a police, street guy, all this. I did not want him to treat me any different. And my father cried. I'd never seen my father cry ever. His son, his namesake, his child, told him this, and my dad had to get himself together, and he said, "Let me tell you something." And he said, "No matter what, I love you.
Mm-hmm.
I want you to know I always will love you. I might not agree with your choices, but I will love you."
Mm-hmm.
On the other hand, I had a friend. I'm not saying no names, but I had a friend, a very close friend, because I was hanging with these people. One of them, their parents was totally against it. Like, you better get your together. That's not an option. One of them put
Mm-hmm.
them out, like
Mm-hmm.
completely just put them out. The
Mm-hmm.
moment she found out, single mother put him out on the street.
But like I said, that's a mental thing for the parent. Like,
But he
how you
suffered
put, how can you put your child, especially a mother,
every day.
like that's the thing. That's the thing that mind boggles me. You carried this child for 9 months.
And they don't realize they're pushing them into another person's arms.
Yes, and
Manipulative,
and
not maybe for their good.
not, right. It's never going to be for their good. Most times, it's never going to be for their good because they don't have the wisdom. They don't have that. They don't have that knowledge to know what to go into correctly.
Or how to protect themselves from
Yes,
or indifferent.
yes.
Because here's the thing: when you push your child out into the street, you push them out into the world with the wolves,
The
and they
street,
prey on them.
the street will eat them up.
And then people become, I mean, a lot, I've seen it. They become street workers. The cleanest of children sell their bodies to make money, to just live,
Live.
just to make it without their parents. And they think they're grown at that point because they know no other way.
Mm-hmm.
And the street will teach you how to survive.
Yes, it will.
Now, I didn't
Well,
have
let me tell you, you literally can compare life just like the jungle, just like the safari. You can literally compare it because that's literally how it is. Like you are like they really become prey. Like the tiger or the lion is looking for that antelope. That zebra is looking for him.
Yeah, yeah. How do you feel? Let me ask you a question. Do you think you and your story, losing your parents, played any key role in you being who you are today?
Oh, most definitely. Most definitely. It really not okay, so not growing up with a father is one aspect.
Right.
Learning later on in life that it's not because he didn't want to be here. It was because he couldn't be here.
Right.
Then being young, actually walking in on your mom like dead, like that is something that is detrimental to your life, like especially when you're 7 years old. Like how do you process that?
I couldn't.
So it really teach it at that point. It really taught me how to grow up really quickly. That was a like because at the end of the day, I'm 7 years old. I still have to go to school. I can be out of school for a week or two, but I have to go to school.
You have to go back.
Then not only that, business though, knowing that my mom had a problem, like my mom was doing drugs. Yes, like that those type of things. Knowing that, not really being able to have that motherly connection. Like you have a mother, but she's not really there, but she's there.
Right.
And wanting her to get to be and do so much better, but it not happen. It's like wow. But like I said, you have to learn from it. The only way that you can do it is learn from it. Like I was lifed really quickly.
Right. With no way or ability to change it.
No way or no ability. I mean, I had my grandmother, my great grandmother, my aunt there. Like I had the support,
Right.
but there is no support that can bring back that hurt. There's no support that can bring back that desire. There's no support that can really bring her back. Period. There's no support. None.
So
So it's like,
you grew up with a hole
yeah,
in your eyes.
yeah, yeah, yeah. You do grow up with a hole, like, but one thing that I am learning to do now is to fill that hole. Because at this point, I can't bring her back, and that's how I kind of deal with life. When someone passes, it's very very hard. It's very hard it's very very hard at that moment. But it's like one thing I do know is that one, they're in a better space.
You helped me
Two,
with that yesterday.
yes.
Really
Two,
helped me with that.
I can't carry the burden of them not being here. I can't carry their presence. I can't carry them. The only person I can carry, I have to carry myself. I have to carry myself on. Because when you lose people in your life and that are close to you, mentally you can really shut down.
Right.
You can really go into a hole. And
A spiral.
yeah. And that's something where you have to really persevere. You have to keep fighting because you can't internalize it. You can't make it you. Because you'll become that sadness.
Right.
You'll become all of that.
You have to change the story.
Yeah.
You have to rewrite the chapters.
It's it's not forgetting, it's not suppressing, it's not doing any of that. It's only like you literally have to think of life as a book.
Well, you seem to smile all the time. Your smile is infectious. I mean, it's definitely contagious. And that really helps me. We come from two totally different backgrounds and two different time frames. But you truly bring light to my life. As a friend, you're very, very supportive, and I thank you for that. Many people don't know what you've endured; they just see you smile.
Mm-hmm.
But the Bible speaks of there's a lot of laughter in front of the pain.
Mm-hmm. Most definitely.
There's pain there, but in spite of it all,
And that's something else that I really keep in mind all the time. No matter how upset, no matter how mad, no matter how sad, no matter how none of that. When I used to work for mobility and when I used to work at Walmart, I literally used to say this to everybody. My day is not done until I've had at least one person smile.
That's amazing.
My day is not complete until I've had one at least. And if I haven't gotten one smile, my day is not. It's not complete. It's not.
I'm gonna tell
Because
you, my day ain't gonna be complete until I pass out 10 business cards. That's what I'm telling you. It's like no, I'm playing. I gotta always turn it to work.
always. But most definitely, like I just, I look at life as it not being something bad. Like
right.
we have deaths, like with COVID right now. Like I'm scared. I'm nervous. I'm trying to be very cautious as possible. But that just does not mean that my life has to stop. Like how things are going right now, everybody's staying in the house and nobody's going nowhere because they're scared. Don't get me wrong, I'm scared also. But I gotta get out the house. I can't stay in here. I will lose my mind. You see the patch? I've been in here for too long. The patch starting to come out. The patch starting to come out. I've been in the house too long.
Don't get it twisted. Let them know we are safely going
Oh,
outside.
most definitely. Let me tell you.
Gloves, spray. I'm like, you got spray? You got your your stuff. That's very important. That really helped lighten up the moment for me. And I thank you. Oh my goodness. Oh, Nita said you would have been great working at Disney.
Oh,
that's
yeah.
so amazing.
Yes.
Yeah. So that brings me to another thing. When I said why me, I didn't want to be different. I wanted to be like my cousins, all my friends. That hey, everybody was on the hunt, and the girls were looking for the boys, and the boys were looking for the girls, and I was like stuck in the middle. Like I really want the girl too, but I didn't get.
But during my era, my time, when that stuff happened, I didn't need nobody. I go sit over on the side
by yourself.
Hey, y'all do whatever y'all need to do.
You had phones?
Yeah, I had my phone. I had a phone when I was 7 years old. I was in middle school. I was in middle school when I had my phone. Like I was in my desk.
Okay.
Typing in my desk. That's how.
So one of the other questions that I have is a steamy question.
Ooh.
This is a real hot topic right here. And this might get some more listeners, no. But what do you do when you insinuate your mate is gay and you're heterosexual?
Ooh.
Or you have a thing.
We need to bring somebody on that can ask that question, that can answer that.
Somebody like that?
No, I don't know anybody like that, but I can't answer that question. I'm not even going to get into it.
All right, let me put it
in my opinion on being on the opposite side. I can give my opinion about being the person on the opposite side.
Well, get that perspective though, from the person on the opposite. What do you no, I think it's how do you deal.
Personally, I can't deal.
Why would you first of all be attracted to somebody that's with someone else? Let's address it from that way. If anybody wants to tune in,
well, that's like the law of attraction. I mean, you're attracted to what you're attracted to. You can't help a connection. Period. I mean, married people have a connection with other people. I mean, it's do you react on that reaction or do you stay committed in your relationship? Period.
So
everybody, you can't be. Men are gonna be men. They're gonna look at some ass. They're gonna look at some titties. They're gonna look at it. Period. If he's attracted to that fat ass, he's gonna look at it. Period. Now, but it's his choice if he reacts on that fat ass. If he actually gets up and goes to pursue that,
all female,
well,
right?
Yeah. Well, I was talking about males at the moment, but females the same thing. Because you can't be biased and you can't exclude females from the equation. Humans are humans. We're all humans.
Right.
We like what we like.
Right. So here's the deal. So I'm like going to really go there because that is something that I've experienced. Okay. On two different vantage points. I've been the stylist in the salon that was doing the girl's hair.
Oh,
was I approached by one of my clients' boyfriend, husband as well. I've been propositioned because they know what you are. They know what you do. The thing is, can they trust you not to talk? That's the first thing. So that's one part of it. And then the other part would be, and like the client coming to me crying and seeing something.
What? Because she found out
something in his phone. She read something that she wasn't supposed to read. So this has happened for me as well. I'm a little seasoned. And I've been putting all this together. I want to come up with books that help people through divorce and selling houses, and I wanted to do all the self help things to help people think greater, be and think bigger to become greater. That's what my books are all about. But I didn't deal with the issues of right now. What happened to the woman that came to me crying about her husband that she caught with a man? And or what was she to do at this point? Did she trust him from then? And how did she move on with everybody saying leave him, but she loved him so bad?
But that's a 2-part question. I mean that's a 2-person question, because if she's willing to make it work, and that's when it turns it over to his aspect. Is he willing to make it work? Because if he's not willing to make it work, and if she's willing to make it work, she has to compromise. She has to deal with the fact that he has to compromise. I mean, every relationship has some type of compromise. This is something that they both have to compromise with.
Because every human has what?
Desires
to deal with.
You said something to deal with. Yeah.
Every man or woman has an issue. Mm-hmm. That's what I think people really fail to realize. And just because yours isn't about being gay, you might eat too much.
Mm-hmm.
You might gamble. You might want to have sex too much.
But a lot of that stuff is sourced from other things. A lot of everything that you do, every type of addiction, every type of all that is sourced from things that you go through on a day-to-day basis that you can't really process on your own, or you feel as though that you can't process on your own.
Right. That's true. So
my question is, but I want to get back to the whole aspect of being the one that dealt with the
married or dating
baby father.
Okay. Let's go. Let's explore that area. Like, go ahead. Like, because
at the time I thought I was doing something big. Like, it was like, oh,
it made you feel good.
So it's like, but then that's when a self-evaluation process came in the middle of it, because it was like, oh, I got this, but I think I can make this. I can make him just leave her and do all that. But then you realize that he ain't going nowhere. He's still with her. You the one going to sleep at night by yourself. They're going to bed together. He taking her out on dates. He coming to your house. How did that happen? We sneaking and creeping. They out in public taking pictures together. I don't want to take pictures. Like, the self-evaluation thing came in. It's like, all right now, like, let me reevaluate this.
Because you like, what is my value?
Yeah, like
I come home to you.
Yeah, it's like, come on now, like, I want better for myself at this point.
Right.
Yeah, you giving me money. Yeah, you giving me money. That ain't really doing too much for me. I mean, yeah, it's paying bills, but I need more than just my bills paid. I can pay my own bills. Like, but then that's when I have a problem, because that's where the whole aspect of me knowing, like, it's different when you know and you don't know. The fact that I know that this guy finished doing something with her, and now you come in here and I'm getting ready to do something with you.
That's deep.
Or you kissed her just now, like tongued her down, or ate her coochie. Now you getting ready to come and kiss me in the house. Oh no. Like, that ain't getting ready to happen. I'm sorry. Like, that's just, it becomes a self thing. Like, you start to think about stuff like that. Like, the fact of me knowing that you chilling here with me, you gotta be with her. She not just walking around the house every day with her butt shaking and some booty shorts, and you not get some. Y'all still in a relationship. Like you gonna want something from your girl.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't want to be that. I don't want to be a side dish. I'm not no side. Or I'm not a side of fries.
You're not a side of fries.
No.
You want to be the main course.
Oh yes, most definitely.
Okay. So the thing that I would like to say then, and as it pertains to that, like I've even experienced something where after being married, excuse me, y'all, I wanted to protect her because I seen more and more things out in the world, and I asked some of my friends, like, "Hey, really, from the time before I got married to the time, let's just say that 11-year span that I wasn't out in the world doing whatever I felt, wanted, needed, and desire. Um, um, things had changed dramatically. Like it's almost like a time lapse had happened, or like the way we did things was very secretive and private, and you tried to be, you know, protecting your family image, let's say,
Mm-hmm.
versus after I was divorced, they were like, people were like vultures, like they was coming out of the woodwork. People were just like coming out. It's like a culture shock for real, because
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't used to people being outwardly talk, coming on to you, and I mean, it was almost like I walked into a different world. And I literally didn't want that either. Like honestly, I was like, I failed. That was my whole thing. I felt like I failed my whole family. That's how I personally felt. But then when you transition into now you're by yourself, you're trying to focus on your goals, you're being single.
Mm-hmm.
What's next? And when you look at what's next, you have to understand and embrace what I've been used to is different than what is now, and what I want, need, and desire might be different than where I am in my life. Because sometimes you got to reevaluate and be by yourself, and that was what people always telling me: be by yourself, be by yourself.
Yes.
Relationship
Ooh.
kind of person.
Do that
I
again.
wasn't wanting to be by myself,
Oh my gosh. Say
but
it again. You have to when you be by yourself, once you get finished or get out of being in a relationship with somebody, you have to allow yourself, especially when you're in a relationship for so long, because you learn to, like I said, you compromise. So things that you wouldn't ordinarily do or do for yourself, once you become single, you now realize like, wait, why am I even doing that? That's not something that I would even normally do.
that's not what I wanted to do. I did
Yeah,
that.
I was just doing that because that was something normal that they like. So now you have to really take that step back and really actually get yourself together. Like it's a really
Identity fine.
self. It's a real self thing. Like you really have to really take the time out to really get yourself together and become in tune with yourself again. Because I look at it like this: before you can really be in a relationship, you have to be in tune with yourself. You cannot go into a relationship wanting
Either way,
expecting for somebody to help you through finding yourself. You can't expect for somebody to help you find yourself. That's why it's called finding yourself. You're finding yourself. You cannot expect for somebody else to help you do that. They can support you. Support is different from help.
Right.
Because help, 9 times out of 10, is going to give you an answer.
Right.
Versus support. Support is going to really like, you can do it. You can do it. You can do it. I mean, you might have to look a little harder. Like that, it gives you subtle hints like that. Look a little harder. You can do it. You can do it. That's support. Versus
their feelings.
Yeah, 1 really equals 1 + 1. So if I have one French fry and I have another French fry, and I put those 2 French fries together, what does that make? How many French fries do you have? You have 2 French fries now. See, that's help. They helped me through that problem. No, it's the self thing. Self, it's finding, FindingYourself. Finding yourself.
That's a book.
For real, that's what it's called. Like, cause like people really like. Cause I'm not even gonna lie. That's how I used to be. I used to be like that. Like, well, I mean, if I was just in a relationship that went like this, then I'll be able to get myself together like this. No, don't work like that. You still that same person that that you was before you got in a relationship. Like,
And
you have to be able to
those
match.
behaviors transition into your new situation. So they
Mm-hmm.
don't necessarily leave.
Get
You
a they
bring
need
baggage,
not leave.
you bring baggage with yourself.
Yeah. And
So
it's your own baggage. It ain't baggage from homegirl or homeboy. Your ex. That ain't their baggage. So their baggage is something different from your self baggage.
right.
Your
And then
mental
this
baggage.
person got their baggage, and then before you realize, you got a pile of mess
Let me
that
tell you.
you're both trying to navigate through, and you have one desire. It could be a sexual look. It could be I like the way they do this. It could
Mm,
be that. It could be a few things. But when the rubber hits the road, and
mm,
you guys really figure out that you're gonna be together,
mhm,
do you really understand who that person is? Or
mm.
do you have to learn them along the way at this point? Because
Well,
you really didn't analyze yourself first.
oh, right. Because now at this point, I mean, with every relationship, you have to learn a person. But when you go into a relationship not completely knowing or having a better understanding of yourself, um, you can put yourself in predicaments and situations where you have to take 3 steps back with learning a person. So it's like we've been together for 3 years now. But because you really just found yourself or you really took that moment to really find yourself, you used to like salmon. Salmon's not in your new diet. So you're not doing salmon anymore.
So
But
who
we
I met
but,
is
but we used to go to our favorite restaurant and every time we went to that restaurant we had salmon. Now you don't do salmon. So now it's like now we have to go to a new place or find something else on the menu now that we both like. It's like it's just learning. Like it's a learning curve.
what I told you this between us a few weeks ago. I said, understand who you meet is not who you're gonna be with. Because
Mhm,
we are always evolving and we're always supposed to be growing.
mhm,
So who you met, even if you met their representative,
mhm,
is not who you become.
mhm,
And in who you're becoming is always becoming a better who I am, meaning
mhm.
personal. I'm a better Pete for me to be a better person. It's
Yeah.
not because I'm with this person that I want to be a better me. It's
Mhm.
I want to be a better me for me. So I know we've been on here about an hour. I know you're a little hungry, probably being considerate. Um, I do want to pick up this topic as we going into the new year. The gist of this conversation is a perspective. What is your perspective, and how do you look at things to help somebody that's dealing with some issues that really people that don't like to talk about? You know, from we'll probably cover a lot of these issues. These we'll just announce when we're going to come on.
Yeah.
I'm going to have people from children that have become transgender, children have been put out, um, husbands that have left their wives that have left their families. We're going to address a lot of different complicated issues because what's next? The whole thing about growth in life is you have to use experiences to grow from, be it your own
Mhm.
or others. So that you don't go down a dark road and go through hell that somebody else went through. You
Okay.
You don't want to reinvent the wheel. You want to try, and that's why this conversation is being had, because I see the need. So many people will speak to me privately, about certain issues, and they confide in me. But for the amount of people that I see go through things, I mean, standing behind the chair, I felt like a counselor. I wanted to get the heck out of that industry because I sat down. I mean, people would sit at my chair and spill their life, and from cheating on their husband to getting pregnant by another man to
I know you became a whole counselor.
but it gives you perspective, it gives you understanding. It also, being a male hairdresser, it
Mm-hmm.
gave the women a sense of security, to understanding. You thought like their man did to an extent, so they could get an understanding of how to take this information back, which led me into personality profiling and trusting God the more and having a relationship with God more and not man, because that is the key to everyone living a harmonious life.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever you do, I think we're so big and quick to judge and to jump to a. We have so many expectations of
Mm-hmm.
people when we should have none. We should mind our own business and let people be people and live and be themselves. Help when it's needed and not help when you want to give it.
When you want to give it, okay?
Because that is becoming the destruction of our society. And the young people don't want to listen because they're always being told, not being asked if even they have something on their heart that they want to, deal with. So that was today. I think I appreciate you coming on, Darius, at such a short notice because I was going to do it by myself, but I
No.
felt your perspective was different. Your understanding was very different, and I just want to help one person. I thought about this a long, long time ago, and I'm very transparent with things. And everyone like, you can't tell you, but it's not about my business. I've lived some hard things. I've been through some great things. People don't know my story. You don't know what it cost me to be where I'm at.
Mm-hmm.
It is something that it cost me. So people desire, and they're like, oh my gosh, Pete, this, that, and the other. And I said, if you only knew, if you only knew, you don't know what this journey has been like. And the one thing that I've learned as we close is love people where they are and show them God.
Most definitely.
So with all that being said, we'll come on another time with with a perspective. And thank you again, Darius, for being on here with me just to help another person. Because too many times these issues are so taboo that people
Mm-hmm.
don't want to deal with them. Okay.
Okay, okay.
All right. I'll see you for some food.
Look,
Bye.
goodbye.